Today, I will talk about sync and sync and sync and again sync. So I'm Hans Brender. I'm an MVP for Office Service and Services. The people around the planet know me, in other words, know me as Mr. OneDrive. So I've spoken all around the globe. That's the 6 times in 1 year speaking in India. So that's for me very appreciated, because I love that, speaking also in small amounts, not only at Ignite with 30,000 people and all this stuff. But anyway, though that's my things you see in the background on the slide where you can connect with me. But everybody, I like to laugh on Twitter, but the other things are also well done. So that's the thing. We speak about the agenda for the next 50 minutes, OneDrive, about sync, and again sync. A little bit of architecture. So people have to know. It's sometimes I feel, if I look at Reddit, if I look on different accounts, forums, and so around the globe, that people do not understand that OneDrive is not simple as Dropbox or something, because it's a simple thing. Therefore, we talk a little bit about tips and tricks for admins in the architecture. What's the architecture of that? The different sync methods, what we have. That's basics. People have to know that. Then we'll speak a little bit of files on demand. Add to OneDrive, that's absolutely new. And then about the community board for OneDrive. So that's sync. And you see, that's a lot of stuff we have to do. First, OneDrive is more than just another network drive with or without a drive letter. So you have to know that. It's not the same. It's a sync engine. Sync is like email. It's not that you can ask, hey, did you receive my email? After 2 minutes, it could be a little bit with delay. It's asynchronous communication, and therefore sync you have to allow. It's not like your network share you have in the past. But it's a basic of Microsoft Foundation of collaboration. So therefore, you have to know and listen what's in there. Looking at the next slide, I see that we can look here the architecture of OneDrive. So in the past, we have different things. It works well with all if you have SharePoint 2019 or Office 365. With the formerly SharePoint servers 2016 and formerly you have no chance to go with the OneDrive architecture. It runs in the user context. It has 113 different languages. There's this one engine for several instances. You may have selective sync, means that the selective, you can say what I want to have to sync. It's enterprise ready. So for big companies, you have about 40 group policies in there. It's self-update. So it's like what you have not under control, you should have make it automatically. Microsoft decides if the servers they are right for you and you want to do that. No, it's automatically each day, each 24 hours, he looks if there is a new version of the client and it installed that. Automatically, you do not have to do anything. It syncs only with Office 365, as I mentioned before, and SharePoint Server 2019. That's the architecture of this stuff. And we have to look, what can we do more? So thinking in the program installation, normally you have it as users, as your username, the app data, local Microsoft OneDrive, though all above we see on the right side, we have programs, DLLs, logo images, and so on, all. But it depends, you can also have it, and you see, you need access to one client SFXMS, but you see that later on. That must be available, that the automatic process can be done. But looking, since yesterday, we have different things. First, you have all the installation. If you have the personal version of OneDrive, then you can say, okay, going back. Then it installs that it in the program files x86 Microsoft OneDrive. And since yesterday, we have a 64-bit version. 21062 is a number. That's a preview version. And it is a little bit better about that. You can read that it's installed at C program files Microsoft. For each user, if you have one machine with several users, one program has to be installed, but then you have in the users partition logs, settings, and setup. That's all. Normally, it will do it automatically. It's there since Windows 10 at the early days, the first Windows 10 versions, OneDrive was although inside. And it looks, hey, it's a new version, and install the new version automatically. So therefore, it's easy. Sometimes you have some limited. People say, hey, I have this, I have that. And you have to say, not at all. You could not do that. There is this under this link, you can look limits SharePoint Online and OneDrive for Business. You see it for your personal cloud, also for your OneDrive for Business and SharePoint libraries. But you have to know several things will work in this next generation sync client, the OneDrive.exe. You may have 30 million documents in each document library. And we talk only about document libraries. Inside means it's okay. But after 100,000 files, performance decreases. And the next generation sync client has a limit about 300,000 files, but not only about one, but all instances and all files you have in sync. So keep it in mind that you not go over 30,000 files. Therefore, we have to speak about a little bit later why we can do that and how we can handle that. The file length at the beginning was 15 gigs, now 100 gigs, and now at the last Ignite, we have 250 gigabytes. The file name came up to 400 characters, and valid characters are also hashtag or percent signs. Keep in mind, no network map drive. If you go inside Google or Bing, whatever you want to have as a search engine, yes, you will find that. There are several parts that okay, you can map that. You can have it as a drive. Don't do that. After the first renaming, the password and so on, you are logging out. That's not good. Although it's not good for authentication proxy. If you have to authenticate under a company with a proxy, it's not permitted by Microsoft. They say we cannot handle that. And there are, in the past, we have libraries with settings, check in, check out. You should not check in, check out in Office 365 for that stuff. So that's the thing, the kernel thing. But sometimes you have to know, yes, we need access to one client as a XMS and glive.com. So behind this link, you find the Office 365 URLs that should be remain. Inside the company, you have to go the people with the firewall and say, we need that. That's a lot of them. If they are standing required in this list, you should do that if you're going to Office 365. And the same is also for allowing with Windows notification services. That means sometimes the people say to me, hey, around the globe, it's so slow on my machine. I have no problems. If I am at home, it's a little bit better. Why? Because you need access to star-windows.com. That's changes to push to pull. And that goes a lot of time, saves waste battery life if you have a laptop and network utilization. That's the second one, is also inside this list. That is for these two, we need exactly to have the best optimization in all this stuff. So now I'll change and say, what can we do? And what can we do inside? The basics are, sometimes the people has to know, and the marketing at Microsoft always says OneDrive, and not OneDrive for Business. So you see, what's the difference? All in this is in SharePoint Online. In each SharePoint Online, you have a document library, or you may have 1, 2, or 1,000 document libraries. And for each member of your company, you have a OneDrive for Business, different one. These are different site collections in SharePoint, and this is a site collection also separately. I only make 3. Even if you have 10,000 employees, you have 10,000 OneDrive for Business. Where the people, the administrator controls the SharePoint Online, you as a user controls as your own SharePoint admin, the OneDrive for Business stuff. And then we also have OneDrive Personal, because that's outside. If you leave the companies, you leave all the people, and although here SharePoint Online, you have no longer access. That means sometimes you still have OneDrive Personal, but I say to the companies, you should not have it both, because my administrators want to control, and that's also security at the standpoint, because you can have access to OneDrive for Business, also to document the libraries, can sync, and then you can say, I put it in my OneDrive Personal out of the control. So the best firewall, the best security rules will not work, because that's not under control of the admins. Therefore, there's a group policy, do not have OneDrive Personal. Then, so on the other side, we see we have Windows 10, we have Outlook as a desktop application, we have Word, we have Excel, we have PowerPoint, We have a browser, whatever browser you want. We have iOS and Android stuff. We have Teams. So thinking this off together, now it works. Yes, it's stuff with Outlook. You should not make an attachment for security reason. Yes, not a Word or document coming out of maybe a document library or more document libraries or in your OneDrive for Business and put it away and send it as an attachment. The thing is, then you have two versions. This one is outside and the one that you have inside. So you have to look, hey, what can I do? The thing is, what we can do, we should have and also share a link inside and put it in Outlook and send it to the other one. So the document resides at this OneDrive for Business or the document library, and the people can work with that from outside. So there are several rules to share some documents, but that's a reality what we can have. And it's also possible for OneDrive. And also the same you have in Outlook, you have in Outlook on the web. So whatever you work, it's the same rules. You have access to all these stuff. You can sync it. That's Outlook. So the next one is with Windows 10. You can say, okay, there's a two-way sync. If you establish and save a document or whatever you want in Windows 10 in a OneDrive for Business, then it will sync automatically to OneDrive for Business in the cloud. So that means the leading architecture, the leading is not your machine anymore. Leading is OneDrive for Business in the cloud. If your machine was stolen, if your machine was wrong, whatever you have, maintenance failure, you can have a new one and can then say sync again, and then it will come from OneDrive for Business again to Windows 10. You lose never. So that's the thing you have to be in mind. Leading architecture is always the cloud. If you have two machines with Windows 10 and an iOS and an Android, it will work perfectly. You can have sync at all the times. That's the thing we have to know. But if you delete one on your machine, it will also delete here. And if you have a second machine, it will also on the second machine. And if you have shared documentation with other people out of your OneDrive for Business or out of your libraries, it will also delete it here and delete it on all machines that sync this version of Word or Excel from these machines. But anyway, you have a recycle bin in Windows 10. You should not do, and if you have deleted, unfortunately, oh, I have deleted, sorry. No, you should not have it here. You should take the recycle bin for OneDrive for Business or the recycle bin for document library. Here you have 30 days, here I have 90 days to come back with the stuff because we have versioning there. Each file has versioning up to normal standard is 500. And each document also have the versioning inside the document library. So you can do that. If you install it, that's only the latest version here in Windows 10. Here in iOS and Android, you look only on the document library. So therefore, you have to know this is the thing we have to know. It's not critical. You can something outside, but then you have a backup feature. And for the backup features, it's also the thing, hey, there must have the possibility to look for the versions in there. Otherwise, you lose all the metadata. Keep in mind that. So we have to go and have it in Windows 10. We have implemented also there. We can have document library or more document library. It takes, are you member there or are not member there? That's the same. It will all sync at Windows 10. Going a little bit further, now I have access to another SharePoint tenant. People, as a consultant, I have access to more than OneDrive. That means I have access to the complete mechanism of Office 365. That's me. That's the other company. So they give me a tenant, they give me a license. I have all this stuff with Word, Excel, PowerPoint, but now I have access to this OneDrive for Business. So that's a OneDrive for Business for the second tenant. That's my OneDrive for Business. So I have all the access to document libraries. Keep in mind, I also may have access to a personal thing, but keep in mind, normally you can sync only on your machine, only one personal account, and up to 9 blue-colored tenants, whatever you want with different things. That's the possibility. The OneDrive sync client is limited. So thinking the big story about that you have also B2B functionality, though that's a possibility. If you are a member here and you are controlling all the stuff, you may have access, or these people have access to different document libraries in there. but only on a basic from business to business. It's too long to tell him. You can talk 1 hour or 2 hours. There's a script, a description about at OneDrive in docs.microsoft.com, and it takes 192 pages to work with such a thing. But that means, yes, they can have it also on your Windows 10 machine. But that's the thing with suppliers or other people, you work constantly. There is a trust between that, and that comes in with Windows 10. But thinking about all we can do, we can also work directly with PowerPoint, Word, and Excel. And sometimes you have to save it directly. So sometimes the rules are it's directly, or as I do, I save my documents inside Windows 10 and take then from Windows 10 the possibility that they will go not only on that, they're going down to the document library wherever I want, and I sync there. So therefore, you have both choices. You can do it with Word, Excel, PowerPoint, directly go to the cloud, it's implemented. But you can also have it Windows 10. Means if you are not connected to the internet, sitting in a train or something, have no internet, you still have the offline functionality. Next time you go to the internet, it will be synced. So sometimes there could be a conflict in this situation. Other people also have, during this time you were offline, and you can share it together. Most they'll look if it's the same thing, but sometimes if you are working with the same paragraph or something inside Word, it could be happen that you have to leave it off and manually decide what is the newest and better version. Therefore, you should always online if you are possible with this stuff. Thinking about Windows 10 with Windows 5, you also have the possibility inside the company. I share some documentation with another people, also external. And external means yes, it's cross-tenant migration. Means somebody gives me a folder, send me a folder, and says the link in this folder is for the documents in there. And I can click on it, I see it in the browser, and then I press the button sync, and then I have it on my machine from the other people. I don't have to go inside the browser again and again to work with these documents. That's the thing we have to look about a little bit. But thinking about with iOS, that's the same situation as I mentioned before. Yes, you can have one or more OneDrive for Business, that's accounts. You have the possibility to see that, although the document library, it's a few. And it's a few. You can have Word there in iOS and look at that, but it's a few. And therefore, with your smartphone, you always are online. Therefore, you can also look at that. And that's not only for the iOS. We have the same functionality for Android. So that's part of the story. And now we have also one thing more. That means, yes, here is Teams. And Teams connect to several things. Your chat will be done with Exchange Online. You don't see that completely. It's done. And your documents are in document libraries or in OneDrive for Business. It's done. You can have all the stuff. Checking the next step. The next step was in 3 years ago. And they spent it with the Windows 10 Fall Creators Update 1709. Normally, you say, okay, I want to synchronize. And then you see a whole stuff of your library. It takes a lot of time and the internet goes a little bit slowly because all the stuff has to be synced to your machine. Thinking about 5,000 documents, it takes a little bit time. And your machine, your hard disk will be full and fuller. So the people has to realize, hey, we changed that. We change NTFS in 1709 and make it files on demand. Only the name will come over. And we will see that also with macOS, that's the version from 18240. And we have the same situation. It's only the content we have there. And I have to look and tell you. NTFS is simplified. It's a simple thing. If you have a file name, let's say that's a document. The type is inside the number, but it means if you have Word installed, it will open it Word. And that means it's okay. If you have not Office, that's not the problem. Then you can with LibreOffice or other paper what's connected with them, and this type will open. You still have a possibility inside the fat allocation table to store a picture in there. That will be done automatically. That's your thumbnail. Then we have some attributes, and that's new. We have 2 new attributes, and the attributes inside NTFS will clear and will do what you want. Then we have some dates creation dates, modification date, and so on. I don't have it here, but at least we have a pointer to the content. That's not correct one. If a pointer is a small amount, the pointer to the next pointer, to the pointer, to the pointer, how big the file is, but keep it in mind. And if you have this situation, then you have inside your Explorer this screen mark, local available or always available. There are some possibilities with group policies that clean up your stuff. Clean up, I will talk about a little bit later. If I want to have the space back, and that's files on demand, I can say, give me the space back, and then this happened. The pointer is no longer valid. This name is still there. A small picture, if you have a picture in there, you will have it also. And the status shows this is the cloud. It's only in the cloud available. Clicking again of that, we will have it back. So the difference between that's local available, that's always available. There are some mechanisms with group policies. There is one special group policies. In my environment, it says, okay, after 7 days, with the last modification date, after 7 days, it clean ups and make this happen. Sorry, that was the one. This happened. Automatically, with all files inside, I have synchronized on my machine. But sometimes you do not want it for special files. You need it every day or once a week or something. Then you can say, I want to change it to always available with a simple click on the button and say always available. Then these automations with group policies will never work. You have it always on your machine. But in the other way, if you have it here in this situation, means you can have up to several petabytes on a small disk with 120 gigs or something, including Windows. Because only if you click on that, having internet, the file will be extracted, downloaded, extracted, and the program who is associated with it will start. So that's files on demand. And you see here, there are different statuses inside a browser. You see it here, that's local, cloud only, your local available, and always available. That's a different status, and you can work with that. Here are the things that you have to know. These are the new attributes, POU. So you may have also the possibility to bring some stuff up. It's only a command line. You don't need to have PowerShell. It's a DOS command line. You can change from one status to other status. You don't need a group policy then if you have to change something. But now we have a new icon. That's a little bit stuff. It was coming 2 months ago. That means exclude specific kind of files from being uploaded. And it's very interesting. That's a machine policy for these people. And I can say it's implemented as a wildcard character. So that means star at PST means, hey, these files ending with PST never will uploaded, but only the new ones. And they will have a mark, as you see here, status, that it will not upload it. But it will not work for Office files. Keep in mind, Office can directly work, therefore they have not control it, although with this group policy that can be implemented. And you also have the possibility that will be uploaded, if possible, then the sync is as normal. If you have to say, or want to have that, then you can do that. Some examples we have. If you have the group policy, sorry for the German translation, I have to translate it there. It's done in the group policy, and I say Versuch point star means if I save a document with a TXT from Notepad, then it's blocked because it will work with these. That an old access data will also, if the database has the name Versuch, MDB, that's access database from the old days, whatever, it will also block, not uploaded. But a DOCX, that's a word, and remember, Office, it will sync, although with this Excel command. And can you see, although if you got the slides later, it looks a little bit terrible because, no, it's not terrible. People have to know what's going on with these question marks because that's the thing we have to control that. Anyway, so you see that these files are blocked, but keep in mind, it works for OneDrive for Business or OneDrive Personal. It works for SharePoint document libraries. It works for all local sync files we've shared with me. I told you, from other people. And it will also local sync from a to OneDrive files. Add to OneDrive? Oh, that's a crazy stuff. So I say the next generation sync client was a good thing in the past. In the past, in this information, why would I have it? Because the next generation sync client makes it so easy if you understand the concept and work with it. But keep in mind, 300,000 files. So I have a lot of customers with more than 300,000 files. And now Microsoft has to say, okay, the thing is that you also have to say, I'm working in the marketing. So now I got the complete library of marketing, but I don't need a complete library. I only need a small portion for the next 3 months. That's the thing we could not handle, because a file, even with content or without content, must be counted, must look, anything change. Any other people change a name of a file. You have to look for that. So Microsoft says, okay, that's a new thing. That's a second generation, if you want to say that. But you don't find anything with add to OneDrive. You only find add shortcut to OneDrive. Oh, shortcut? Shortcut? We have it in the past. A shortcut points to a program or whatever you want. So yes, you will have that, add a shortcut to OneDrive, or better, add shortcut to my files. That's the real thing we want to have. If you want to have it, you remember, shortcuts can be deleted. Yes, remove shortcut from my files. So thinking what's done. A shortcut to my files. Thinking that's a user in my OneDrive for Business. I have folder A, folder A2, A3, and I want to share inside the company. Add shortcut works only inside the company, not outside, not external sharing. I want to say user A, I want to share it to another guy inside the company from his OneDrive. So this is user B, he wants to have it. Folder A2, that's mine, and that's his folders, whatever they are in there. And that means, okay, this user B see that in his OneDrive in the shared with me folder. Wow, that looks very interesting. User B add shortcut to my file. That's a function. He says, I click on it, and then I have it here in my OneDrive. Perfect. It's inside my files. But now you have to say, what's done? Do it with all your machines and sync this stuff with all your machines. If you have more than one machine and has synced, do it in all machines. Inside also on your iOS and Android device. You see this shortcut points to folder A2 in my OneDrive for Business, and you can work with these files. And if I do not want it anymore, I can skip it. So see a new file in OneDrive in the web, see the folders and files on the web, see the folders in Windows File Explorer, see the folders in iOS, see the folders on all machines you have. Standard things is the different way. In the old days, if you say, I want to synchronize, it's only on your machine. If you say, I do not want to sync it anymore, it's only on your machine, but the files are never deleted. You have no sync anymore, that they're not deleted. And now that's a sibling one. Add shortcut to my files, establishes on all your machine. Perfect. And if you say, I do not want it anymore, I can say, okay, I want to remove a shortcut. And that means from the web or Windows File Explorer in my environment, the shortcut will be deleted. I have no access anymore. And that means on all machines, including iOS or Android. And as a shortcut in the standard means you can rename a shortcut for such thing. That we have to look for that. But again, the same thing is not only for OneDrive for Business. We can have it also from a document library. Thinking that this guy is not available and have access to this document library. I can handle that and say, okay, I have access to there. And I say, okay, you will have the possibility that this folder also will be included. That's convenient. We can do that. Yeah. User B sees his OneDrive D drive in a shared with me in his OneDrive. Perfect. OneDrive for Business. And he has to say, yes, I want to do that. Add a shortcut to my files. The same procedure is done. Yeah, we have it on the machine, not only one machine, all machines, and also on the other stuff. And it's easy. If you go in and say, I can rename that, it will be renamed only in its user's OneDrive for Business. I begin the renaming it first. It has a different symbol. You see that? I will show you. But you can have it, and I say I want to have it at the top because these files I do want to work as long as I need it, and then I say, okay, cut it off. So that means I can rename it. It's only in this user's part that you can rename the stuff. It will never go back and rename as to say, okay, not folder tree. I have no idea about folder tree. I want to display another name. It will only name here, not here anymore. The same is here. Renaming a shortcut is possible, but you will never have it at the source. So that have to look for that. And I have here a simple thing. You see that this post doesn't add a shortcut to my files. It's done. And then you can see that we have it on the My Files, and you see that we look at that and have a different symbol. So that's informal, the short version we have. I have made some pictures because I know I have so less time. Anyway, you have seen that. So that's my OneDrive for Business. You see here several domains I have to establish. Then I have here my OneDrive for Business for this organization. That's my OneDrive for Business for my organization. You see it here. This part, Sabrina, yeah, that's the name you can have, and you see it in a different icon. This is a shortcut, and you can rename that. I make it also for my mobile, and you see it here in the mobile. That's the same symbol. The symbol looks a little bit better. I make it bigger. I do it for you. That's a symbol that makes it's a shortcut. You can rename it. But then you see that, and also you can say, I don't need it anymore. Sitting in a train, sitting in a bus, sitting wherever I have access to the internet, I have to say, I can say, okay, the work is done. I'm going to the weekend. I'm going to have some information that I have in this town during the day. So, but I can't do that. And I say it on this machine, and I say remove. Remove means it's although the deletion of the shortcut. The data are still there where they are, but not on your machines anymore. And if you open your laptop, it's done. It's gone. You don't have to delete it anymore. That's shortcut. And that means you have some good connections because it's only a part. You do not need the whole library, only a part of the library, and the folders and the subfolders are in there. So you see, although the OneDrive, sometimes you got a message. That means you still have a connection and a sync, maybe only a document or only a folder. And the thing is, you only may have a sync once. So that means you have to decide which one. And if you need more and it's only part of a subfolder, you have to say, okay, change it a bit, and you will the old ones, and then do it again, and then you will not have the error message in there. Again, summary for a shortcut to OneDrive. That means only for all people in your organization, no external. It's rolling out now. It's done. Any folders from OneDrive, you will have. Any folders from any SharePoint document library. You may get an error if you already sync data through the Share with Me possibility. And for external users who share the folder with files with you, you still must use the synchronization method. External will not allowed to do this stuff these days. We have to wait what Microsoft is doing. But anyway, pointing together, that's the old manual sync of via group policies. We have the possibility, different users have different access to the SharePoint library. You have access, you go in there, you see that's a document library, you press the button, and then you have the data in there. That's the old style. The new style will come up. I have several users in OneDrive. Look in OneDrive of this Windows 10 machine, but it's the same thing. I want to have it, and I say, okay, somebody gives me the possibility. I have to select that, and I have to say add shortcut to my files, means that the people have here then these stuff in there, and the folders and the subfolders and so on. And if you have shared with me and have not shared with me, if you have the version, then you see, although it's a cloud only, because I have established that. Manual sync, you can do that. And the last one is thinking about community. So 2 years ago, some people, I was in Vienna, that's in Europe, in Austria, and some MVPs there. One is a developer MVP, the other one is an AI, artificial intelligence MVP, and he says to me, hey, Hans, can you give us a thing about a bot? They talk about a whole about a bot. And I say, my explanation of a bot is a little bit different. I don't have the time to tell you what is the best thing, but keep in mind, we can do that. And they say, okay, we want to digitize your knowledge. Do you want what? We want to digitize your knowledge about OneDrive. Okay, about OneDrive, yes. And we work about that and have an idea. And after several drinks in the bar at the hotel, and after 3 months, they present me the first mock-up. And then I have to fill it with data. That's not so easy. About OneDrive, a whole story, because this thing will run, this bot will run in Teams. So then we have to look, how does it work with this stuff? I will show it later on. And you see, in German, we have 2 languages. I have to sleep sometimes. The bot never sleeps. So, you know, in Teams, you have 150 million daily users. And all these people may have access to that. And all these people can have, hey, I want to ask Hans, I have it on the bot. That's for, and we will have it, I think, next week or in 2 weeks. It's up to Microsoft in the Teams App Store. But I want to show it you live. I will also look. Let me see. I have it here in Teams. You see that? And I give me an answer. And it says, okay, hello, for example. You see what's going up. That's the English version. We can change it also to a German version, and we will have it later on. And ask it, hey, welcome, and blah, 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 whatever you see. So you also have a short description. Sometimes with this follow-up, you do not have to say, who is Hans? If you place it, it's the same if a question have it, who is Hans? And you give the information, who am I? But thinking, what is the difference? And I can make some mistakes also, because AI decides what will come about OneDrive and OneDrive for business. Now it goes on and it says you, okay, difference between OneDrive and OneDrive for business. You see there is a GIF implemented, and you see this is the stuff I told you at the beginning of the session. It's automatically. I write things down. If I write some new stuff, it is also down. So the late 64 version is not down, but all other things, think add a shortcut for one. No, add a shortcut. I think it is okay, because now we don't have so many shortcuts. And you see, add a shortcut to my files. I have written several articles. And you can say, hey, what's the difference about classic, sync, and add shortcut to my files? And I have to click on it. And then I get the names and the positives and the negatives between both synchronization methods. So this will come and will run inside Teams. With most of them, all the videos and several things, that's on my blog. Yeah, you don't have to see, hey, it's an English version you got, and we'll change it automatically. I will show you, and it clicks. You don't have to see that. Hey, OneDrive different synchronization. And it tells you a little bit more. And if you have some information in the bot where we say, hey, how are the 5 steps? How does it goes? And so on. You see all this stuff. Sometimes you have some possibilities. If Microsoft has the documentation done well, means if they have explanation with videos or something, then I will go directly to Microsoft, because I do not want to have my work for the complete company at Microsoft. Therefore, you can have it. But anyway, also some things are there. If you know, that's the last one. Admin report. I want to show you. That's something for the administrator. This program is not there. It should be available in 2021, but I have read 2 articles about that. but you also have the possibility to see what this thing will come into the near future. You will have, as an admin, to control, not to control, to see how many errors are there, how many outdated versions because they have not the newest version, and so on. Or if you see it, hey, I see this machine with this guy have an issue. I, as an administrator or as a support people, I can call him and say, hey, look, you have a problem with OneDrive. We should fix it because that's not good. It's a basic of collaboration. And this program will come hopefully soon. I have seen it in 2019. But sometimes the people has to do so many other things that is not ready right now. And we have to wait. During the Ignite 14 days ago, it was shown, yes, it will come in the near future. So hopefully we will have it in the near future. That's the thing you see also in my thing. Has the thing, I have to do only the new stuff. He knows about 600 different questions. That's not a question normally for the admin. If you say, okay, I'm an admin, I have no idea. What about the group policies? You have to see, okay, group policies, and you find some group policy and only what there. There are some 10 group policies to control Windows 10 devices and OneDrive. And I spoke it during the session. I have this one, that's Windows Storage Sense group policies with this Windows Drive dehydrate after days. So that's the thing. I only have to say files on demand should be also in all organizations and download and block warnings and known folder move. That means all your data in desktop, in the documents and in the pictures should be also in your OneDrive for Business. You have so much space there, and then all things are done that you can restore all the stuff what you have on your machine. New image, implement, and done. So that means you see all the information. You can also say, hey, you have some top 10 policies in the description. You have to look, okay, beginning with one, what you have, and we have some YouTube videos and what there. You see all the information there. It comes in English and it comes in German. And we are working on that to have more than one language implemented. Not with this, there are 2 databases, but with the new one, I can fill up the new things although in this group. Made by the community, costs you nothing. Normally, you have to look in Teams if you are in a room, and you have to look there if they're the community bot for OneDrive. Going back to the slides to finish up my session. So that was a community bot looking. There are questions, what you have, a picture, a link to docs.microsoft.com, a link to video, a blog post from me, a follow-up prompt with more items, support fronts and teams. We have spoken about that. And here are the more information. At the MST community blog, you will find all the information. Although the information about 64, that's the last blog entry. You also have to look on this link. That's an easy part. And then you see how you implement the 64 version. This one's a little bit quicker. It's a preview, but it will work very well. And although I wrote in 2 different, my blog has about 850 articles, I think 900 now. I forgot the numbers. I do not count it anymore. But in German and in language, you have to look here, the German or the English version. That's for you more interesting. Clicking on that, have the best fun, and all the articles you will see. The last one is what I have to say. It's recommended to look if you want to see a little bit more what's in development, what will come up. The thing during the pandemic days is that the release date are not always correct. Keep in mind, hey, they are developing something and not say in March. It could also be a little bit later. Therefore, you have to know. And sometimes you could also think about user voice. There is one possibility that you do not have if your machine goes wrong. If you have selection, sync with that, sync with there, think there and there. And your machine is gone. You have to have a new machine or hard disk or whatever. And you have established OneDrive, and that is not automatically configured. There is no automatically configuration. And therefore, I have written that I have some voices to Microsoft and say, hey, I want to save and restore the current save the current OneDrive configuration. Yeah, he should that automatically and bring the configuration. What's there? That's an XML file, not more. With the machine name, we have more machines, therefore you have to look for that. With that after the link incrementals that's in there, then you can say, okay, I would say and make although not only a backup, I will also do for each staff and say, okay, I want this synchronization from their machine or a new machine and have the same. Because that costs so much time normally to implement. And therefore I say, you can vote up to 3 points in user voice. And yes, I want to sync. After that, now you have the possibility to say, okay, I have to want the picture from this one. You have to know bit.ly OneDrive 2104. HTTP bit.ly OneDrive 2104. So you now have access to the complete slide deck. And that was and conclude the session.